Hello and welcome to watching or listening to episode 18 of the Conqueror's Quarter podcast. Today's Thursday, July 22nd, and that's right, not Ryan Fox is away, and I'm Jared, and joined by Chad O'Sara.
I'm gonna be the best Ryan I can be today, and am truly embody the not Ryan Fox spirit.
He's already concerned about me and you agreeing on everything, sending us questions, and
Yeah.
making sure to interject in certain points of the TWAB and stuff we have in store for you today. Usually he says something about subscribing and us subscribing to trick your algorithm and stuff like that. But if you're listening to this, you're in the right place, and thank you for that. So we're on Twitter at Destiny CC Pod, and then if you're listening to this, you've already subscribed and followed us at a great place, and thank you for that. So Chad, take us into the TWAP.
All right. First, gonna lead off saying that next week is the final week of Solstice of Heroes. So if you haven't gotten all your stuff done, your glows and anything, you need any help, you can DM us right away, and we'll help you out with some of that stuff. Running a raid with some people, getting that done. Trying to get some people some good stuff. Regardless of which raid it is. But try to get those glows done, get them out of the way if you can. Running one GM can get all of the champion kills done in one GM, depending on what it is, especially this week too, which we'll get into a little later. But definitely try to get yourself a good compass rose. I'm gonna still be trying that. I gotta hit up all those chests in that EAZ and try to get me something good out of that.
Yeah, I was sure hoping for Bungie to buff the drop rate of that Compass Rose on a surprise reset. Hey, we're buffing that, but still hasn't happened yet, and those are few and far between. And still looking for a good PvP and a PvE role in that, and it's getting tired of jumping through those buildings and on the rooftops and sword and everything.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've given myself a 3-4 day break on the EAZ for a bit until Prism Day comes back. I haven't checked if it is today, just
Yeah,
because
I
there
didn't
is a
check.
triumph for boss kills. But I have not had any good luck. I think I've had like 4 drop and just not been any good. I've kept one just like as a whoa, this is okay. But it's I felt the same way with this and Glacier Chasm. There's got to be something they can do to make it either target drops for those guns or make it a much higher drop rate, because it's bad for people that don't play as much as us. It's I can't even imagine how bad that is. Like, playing half the time that we do, I'm assuming you would get half the amount of guns that I've gotten. My luck isn't great, but
Yeah,
2 guns so far out of the whole event. That's not. I'm talking about just the random drops, not the one that's
yeah,
guaranteed.
yeah. Well, at least it is an event that's sticking around for 4 total weeks. So
Yeah.
hopefully, people's been able to prioritize a day or so to grind out some of those key
Mm-hmm.
fragments and boxes. So another change that Bungie's making for the transbox system that everybody knows I hold so dear to my heart. They're taking away the sys trans. That is basically the stuff that when you're killing enemies anywhere and it's automatically coming to you in order to buy the bounties to get the synth weave correct from the turn
Yep.
in. Yep.
Yep.
So instead of costing like the 150 cent strand that it used to be, it's going to be now just 10,000 glimmer.
Yep. They're getting rid of that time gate, that artificial one that they put on it, or which is great. I think that was the biggest complaint besides the whole, Jared's whole complaint on the system. But it's basically you have to play for 3 minutes just for one, and then you have to get 150 just to get a bounty and then complete it. So being able to, you could literally just start the season off and smash 10 of them out with your main character and then be done with it. Because I doubt everyone's going to be doing 10, 10, and 10 because they want everything unlocked on all their characters that they like. People prioritize. Like, look at us. Like Ryan in particular, he has not. I don't think he's even bought a single Titan anything with silver, and that's surprising. Like,
Yeah.
he throws that stuff around like it's going out of style, but like he doesn't. He just refuses. He buys the hunter stuff and he buys the warlock stuff, of course. every time, every event, but he doesn't touch the Titan stuff. So I think most people are going to be like that, where they're going to have their favorite and then their second favorite, and then the third's going to fall off.
Yeah, he really likes his robes, and the Hunter Cloak is the closest thing he can get to it. So that's
Yep.
what he spends his transmog on. And there was a lot of complaints for this, and this is definitely pretty much hitting the nail on the head for, I think, for some of the communities really gonna enjoy. Another thing that Bungie is redoing is the Bungie store, and that is you gotta go on to Bungie.net, log in, then go to the store part, log in there, and then connect those two accounts. And then by doing that, you got to reset a password here or there, but you're going to get a new emblem that's in game. And it's a pretty cool looking emblem. It's like the Bungie fist holding the arc bolt going through. I definitely going to try to do it, but you got to make sure you do this before August 6th, I think. Yes. So make sure you get that done if you want your free emblem. So I know a lot of collectors out there just want every emblem possible.
Oh man, I did it. I did it yesterday. I saw, like, I was just lying around watching some YouTubes, and I'm like, I had my computer on, I was ready to go do some stuff, and I'm like watching a Cheese Forever video, and he's like, I'm like, oh shoot, you can get a free emblem, and I just did it then and there without really realizing what was going on. And halfway through, I'm like, this is a Bungie store thing. I'm like, oh yeah, they said they were gonna do that. But it's not. It's obviously not automatic. They will send the emails out whenever. I obviously haven't gotten it. But it is a cool emblem, and it's something easy to do if you've already been somebody that buys stuff from the Bungie store, whether it's raid jackets or just any of their multitude of items, whether it's clothing or books or what have you. It's easy to do, and it's just one way to link up their stuff to make their reward system easier, so that you have on the Bungie.net profile is going to be just emblems, and then the Bungie rewards is going to be all their unlockable pins, jackets, and clothing and stuff. So you can go to the store for the clothing and stuff, and then you go to the website for the emblems and digital things. So it's a little bit easier, because it would be where you go to your Bungie.net, and then you'd click on like get my code to go to the store to redeem it for the jacket, and this one is just click, and then you're already just picking your size and you're good to go.
Yeah,
So that's going to be nice.
this is the death of the code giveaways, the emblem giveaways, stuff like that. Like people getting a raid jacket code and giving that code away. There's no more.
Oh, I
No
didn't
more
even
of that.
think about that.
Yeah,
Shoot.
that's a big change. Yeah. So
Wow.
yeah, but if you have a couple buddies in your clan that somebody wants one, you can easily just log in, use Venmo, and send it back and forth, and put their address in to ship it to them. There'll be a
Yeah.
couple ways around it to help out the people probably close to you, but there's a lot of that stuff that's going away now that people have come accustomed to for a long time with Destiny.
Mm.
So another big change next season 15's changed to Nightfall rewards. And I think us as a PvE podcast is one of the things we look forward most to. And they're going to change up the way the Nightfall weapons drop on a weekly basis. So right now, the little fix they put in halfway through the season, we do a 1-1-1-3 weapon rotation per week. So the ones are the ones that just come out this season, and the 3 is the ones from the previous season. But next season we're changing that. Next season we're going to have a 2-2-2-2 rotation. So every 4-week rotation, there's going to be 2 weapons that drop per that week. And they gave us 2 names of 2 weapons that's actually coming next season, Chad.
Oh yeah, they told us the comedian and the hothead. Um, Now the comedian, I played with it. I didn't really use it too much. I always remembered it just because of the flavor text on it, which is just ha 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 ha. And I thought it was great. It's just something dumb and great. But then I saw hothead, and I'm like, that name sounds so familiar. It in my head it looked like Dragon's Breath. So I looked it up again just to be sure, and I was like, yeah, that's right. It's just the legendary Dragon's Breath. But I don't remember ever really using it. I remember unlocking it and then maybe using it and then putting it in the vault after that, because I don't think rockets were in the best place at the time. So I don't remember if it has like the grenade dropping effect that Dragon's Breath did to make it kind of unique of a legendary rocket.
Mhm.
I remember it could roll tripod, which was
Oh,
good,
yeah,
um, and tracking. So you could do tracking tripod on a rocket, which is good. But nothing about it really stood out to me. And then the comedian either. I mean, the archetype that it was, you could, if you were zoomed in, you had a little bit more range on other shotguns, so you were able to get the shot if you're fast enough over other people that were shotgun aping on you. Um, but it it wasn't one that I really. I mean, Matador and Party Crasher were my two shotguns if I was running shotguns.
yeah.
I was a big fusion junkie, a Vooper. So it's I remember the two guns, but I didn't really use them. Did you?
No, not at all. I definitely didn't do that quest for that rocket launcher either. But yeah, I did some quick research. If they keep the frame basically the way it was coming from D1, it's going to be a precision frame pellet shotgun. So those look to be the meta right now between those and the lightweight, and then shotguns are probably pretty well balanced right now, best they ever been. There's probably room for each frame type to shine. But they also say example here. So like the comedian will be dropping with a shatter price. To say, for instance, that's week one, and then week two is the hothead with the hung jury. Does this make? Does this? Are they saying that we're getting 4 totally new weapons next season?
I No, because okay. So right now we have a 3 1 week, so 1 1 1, and then a three
Yeah.
week. So we have six guns currently,
Yeah.
and it's moving to a 2 2 2 2, which is going to be eight. So we're only getting two guns next season. Um, but like you said, they did keep it kind of vague, but it's probably because they're just going to be like the third week's going to be Uzume plug, and then the fourth week is going to be Swarm and
Palindrome.
gosh, Palindrome.
Okay.
Um, they just gave the two examples because those are like two guns, so those are the ones that are important.
Yeah. It just
Um,
made me feel like that hung jury just came back this season. That's going to
mhm.
consider that an older weapon.
Yeah,
But if it's 8 total, then okay.
yeah.
I got
Now
super excited there for a minute.
there's a note here from Papa Fox, and he's asking if does Bungie put old Destiny One weapons in a randomizer, and whatever pops out is what they bring back. Um, Now, my main thought on it was there's two that they're bringing back. Obviously, Comedian Hothead. Now they are a Crucible Quest weapon, and then a Vanguard shotgun. Um, and unlike the last seasons where they brought back three, they're only bringing back two, and those are the two main. Like Gambit didn't exist, so there were only two different things you could do in the game at the time. So I think they chose to bring back two, and they're choosing to bring back a Vanguard gun and a Crucible gun. Now the Crucible one does have some importance because it was a quest weapon. The Comedian, I don't know. They there's a lot of Vanguard guns they could have brought back, but I don't think we don't have a shotgun right in the rotation
No,
because
we have not.
we
No.
have hand cannon, scout, auto rifle,
Yep.
sniper, machine gun, fusion. So they needed to bring back a shotgun and a rocket, and then a pulse is the only other one that they haven't done.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
That'd be nice for them to round that out for the mini adept weapons where we're basically going to be coming into
mhm.
next season. You never know what they do with trials, but who cares about
Yeah,
that? Fox has a couple more notes for us here, and one of them is like he wonders what perks not typically seen on this archetype means.
yeah, that's I was going to talk about that too. I was curious because, like you're saying, if the comedian is a precision frame, if they add perks that are not typically on precision frames, like something that would give it more range, or something that gives it a little bit of extra oomph, even though it is a precision shot, um, it could really shake
Okay.
up the archetype there because
Yeah.
of that. And the same thing with the rocket. If they add something to it that isn't like, look at what happened when they added impulse amplifier and
Mhm.
lasting impressions to rockets.
Yep.
It's crazy. People like I grinded out to try to get each flavor for with that exact roll on all those rockets because they're good. It's not like it's a gun that I want because it's I just want it because I don't have it, but it's actually a good option for some stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
We haven't had two damage increasing perks on a shotgun before that. So like we never had a trench barrel vorpal roll on a shotgun,
Oh,
and
oh, man.
that would be awesome to have. And me personally, I think shotguns need that in PvE because they are
Yeah.
not in a good place for the most part.
Yeah, the only thing that's close to that is the slugs. A
Yeah.
slug headshot on a big yellow bar, it does a lot of damage.
Yep.
But that's about it. I
And then
think, yeah, that would be crazy. That would feel almost like OG Ikelos shotgun
yeah.
back in the day when you
Yep.
could void tractor cannon it.
And then
Oh man.
the stop mechanic, you could bypass it by with the quick melee and
Yeah,
stay
just a
there
punch.
to re up the trench barrel.
Oh
Staying
man,
in the Luna faction
that'd be
well.
rad.
Yep.
Ah,
That was a very fun time.
yeah, could you imagine if they created a perk synergy for 1-2 punch also?
Oh, yep. Oh yeah, like a 1-2 punch four-pull or 1-2 punch trench
Yeah.
barrel. That
Well,
that
the
would
problem the problem with the Vorpal on the 1-2 is you're using it for punching. You're shooting with it, which is, yeah, you're doing a little damage with it, but if they created like a quick stop so you could do a 2-4 punch easier, it'd be fun.
yep. Yep.
I miss triple shotties.
Well, you can still do it, but
I know, yeah.
yeah. Also next week is going to be double nightfall rewards, but the weapon rotation next week is the three old ones: Palindrome, Swarm, and um, Shadow Price.
Shadow Price.
So why are they doing it double rewards on a week like that?
I think it's kind of a catch up mechanic. It feels like for the people that didn't get the chance to play a lot of GMs or masters last season, it lets them get some guns. Some guns that they don't have rolls on yet, whether that be adept or not. Um, and it lets people just hang out and grind out just more stuff. Now, they should make it where like the last couple of weeks where every gun is rotating in is just double, no matter what. So like since it's on a 4-week rotation, the last 4 weeks of the season should have double nightfall rewards regardless. That would be the best thing to do because that would get
Okay.
all of your PVE players in there way more, especially on weeks with 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 all these guns that they want. You're gonna get more players actually playing.
Yeah, to me, I don't like this change, and Fox messages saying that he's on a record with this change. They go into the 2-2-2-2 method, and I am not for this. This is catering to the people that didn't play before, to the casuals, to the people that didn't put in time for the previous seasons, and the people that's crying about FOMO. This is for them, and I am not a fan of that. I think if you wasn't around for that time, you should wait till it comes back around. And if you have decreased RNG chances for that 1 week, so what? Have the three weapons in for that week. I want better chances at getting the new stuff, not mixed in with weapons I already have. So
Yeah,
that's the reason I don't like it, because now it's a less chance of me getting the new Nightfall weapons.
yeah. Knowing my luck, I'm gonna be getting a lot of the old stuff that I don't want,
Yeah.
and just not getting any of the new guns at all. Um, oh man.
Yeah, I mean, like this week when we was running Warden of Nothing, and the first 2 times I ran it, I didn't get a weapon to drop at all. So, like now, we could be running it, and out of 5 runs, I only get 2 or 3 of the old weapons to drop. I don't even get the new one. So that's going to be very frustrating whenever that happens.
Yeah, you're basically gonna have to actually grind it out, like a bunch of them, just to hope you get a couple of drops, and
Yep.
hoping a couple of those drops is the one you want. I mean, not saying that there's a couple of they're bad guns. I mean, there's a couple that we obviously prefer, and it changes per person. Um,
Mhm.
no, I'm obviously, if you listen and or watch the podcast, I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle of my big boy here and
Yep.
Papa Fox. Um, but it's one of those things that it does suck because my RNG is awful. It's god awful, and we don't know if it's going to be where it's like this next week where it's going to be a chance of getting one of the three, What if it's like every time you get a drop, you get both? I don't know. More than likely, it's not. It's going to be a chance at getting one of the two. And for lots of people, that RNG is not on their side. Some people, like Ryan, it is. It's on his side, and it's on his side on usually the guns that he doesn't really care about, but he gets it, and he's like, "Yeah, this is a good gun."
Yeah,
um, I
there's
mean,
definitely some
like,
things they can do to curb that. So like right now in Vault Glass, when you do the 5 challenges, that's when you unlock the found verdict time loss version. So what if they tie the triumph to completing, when you complete the Grandmasters next season, you're guaranteed 6 total adept weapons.
mhm.
You could do two, two, and two. I mean, well, whatever this is, the hothead and the comedian. If it's the only two we're getting, then you get 3 of each. Whenever you claim all the triumphs for the Grandmasters,
Okay,
I think that's a good way to maybe to curb that. I don't know if they'll give that to us. 'Cause I think they should, but I think that would be a great addition.
yeah, give like 3 guaranteed drops of the actual guns of the season. That'd be neat. As long as they're random, then
Yeah,
it'd be, yeah, and then it makes sense because like the drop in Vogue is a random adept drop. Um, I mean, it definitely it's it's gonna be hard to do because they can't just keep extending it, like adding like making it a 2-2 or like a making it a 1-1-3-3 and then back to one
mhm,
one three three. Because then if they keep doing that, they're just it's gonna get bigger and
yeah,
bigger
for sure.
every season. And while that I would be like okay with that at the beginning, it's gonna end up because there's gonna be like 4 weeks of guns that are old, and then you're gonna get back to the weeks in a row where the guns are what you want, and then they're gonna have to start rotating things out because then the season's over. So they're gonna have to do something.
Man, imagine getting an adept engram that you could take to the Zavala and turn it in that you could get
Ooh,
the pick between the 2 weapons that is
okay.
dropping that week.
You're reminding me of Arms Day back in D1.
Yep.
Remember, you'd pick up a blueprint of the gun you want, and then you just wait till it has a drop, like the roll you want.
Hmm.
I miss it
Yep.
because you do your little quest, do your thing, pick it up, and then just sit there and wait on it. That'd be
Yeah.
nice.
Arm days be great to bring back. Um, you know, out of your neck of the woods, Chad, the state of California has issued a lawsuit against a big gaming industry that Bungie used to be associated with.
Yep. Yeah, it definitely is.
Uh,
It's
some
lots of harassment going on at Activision Blizzard right now, and it's not good.
Yeah, you read some of that stuff, and it's hard to believe that's still going on today in a workplace, let alone at all. It's just we need to get that stuff, especially out of the workplace, and it's not how we should be treating one another, especially females at all. And if you want to read about some of that stuff, go look for it. But it's uh, it's pretty saddening to hear a lot of that stuff. And Bungie has done a good job going forward. They do a lot of fundraising for minorities, for LGBTQ, for females. Like they do a good job of promoting that and trying to make a safe workplace.
Yeah, they do a great job at making sure that their workplace is one of inclusiveness and that everyone is created equal and everyone has a fair shot at anything that they want to do, no matter who they are, no matter where they're from. And that's just how it should be. And they released a statement on how they feel about this and what they do to try to combat this in their own place of business. Mainly because Activision was their partner until recently, and so that's something that they had to say, hey, look, this Activision was doing this. We haven't been with them for a while, but we wanted to say that this isn't how we run a business, and we were hoping that other people weren't doing this, but it's sad to hear that it's still going on. Um, and it's just tough to read. it's
It absolutely is.
But it's great that Bungie's always doing fundraisers and talking about all their people and caring about them, and it's that's a good thing to read. I like
Yeah.
always seeing those posts and hearing about that.
Yeah. Sounds like a great place to work. So hit me up, Bungie. I'll come work for you.
Yeah, same.
Um, so also this week, Vault of Glass hard mode, it has a challenge, and it's wait for it, which we haven't been able to get into the hard mode yet, but we have completed this challenge, and this is you gotta wait for the wyverns to start sacrificing before you kill them, and a lot of stuff can go wrong during that, and you need some high DPS supers, and so for the most of us, a lot of us is running like a Chaos Reach or a Falling Star Titan.
Yep, in the normal mode, you could plink with an anarchy and it would take them to half, just under half. So you would one person would just sit there, hit him with an anarchy, and just wait. And then right when the sacrifice starts, you'd hit that chaos reach, you'd hit that thunder crash, whatever super you got that can do that instant burn damage, and then you just kind of trade supers that way. Um, but in the hard mode, got to be a lot more careful. There's a lot more ads that can pick you off mid chaos reach. A lot of ads that can pick you off before you activate that thunder crash. And if you don't, if your ally on your side already used their super and that wyvern starts sacrificing and you're dead, it's gonna be a bad situation. And it's either gonna be a wipe or it's gonna be super close, and it's gonna be stressful for everybody. But while we still got anarchy, use it is
Yep.
definitely a good one. I haven't tested in the hard mode how many anarchies you can plank onto a wyvern before it dies.
I read
Um,
through a few Reddit posts about it, and if you're 1340 or below, you can put two on. But if you're
okay,
like 1341 plus, you can only put one.
gotcha. So it still does around half ish, but you got to
Yeah.
survive that time.
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
And then also with hard mode, you got the addition of anti-barrier champions that's coming on the left and right
Mm-hmm.
side. So
Yep.
man, you have to do some good communication with your teammates, and not everybody's running overload because guess what? You have those champions too.
Yep.
So you have anti-barrier hobs, overload, minotaurs, and wyverns. It is a nightmare. It is very tough, but luckily this is the first encounter of the raid. So just get that spiral formed and go get this challenge done quickly to get yourself a Vision of Confluence. That's the time lost version,
Oh
and
yeah.
that big nice time lost version comes with Zim Moment and full auto trigger, which was
Yep.
the Destiny 1 role, correct?
It was, yeah, full auto Zen moment. I remember that. I used it all the time. Um, Now for Confluence, I like it more for PvE. I haven't. I still trying to get into scouts for PvP, but for the PvE role anyway, we're trying to look for a small bore, armor piercing rounds, rewind, and then frenzy or firefly. Either one of those, whichever one you like more, is gonna be it for you. Frenzy's easy to proc. You don't even need to use the gun to use it. As long as you're in combat, it'll proc on any of your guns that has it. So it's a fun one to have, and it's easy to use. Like we found out on the SMG last season, it shreds some people. And while it may not shred as much because it's a scout, it'll still do a good amount of extra damage. And you don't have to bank on headshot kills for explosions for it. You just do extra damage, and that's it. Just then and there, boom. And then the rewind rounds just giving you extra shots back automatically. It can make your magazine feel huge. It's almost like a pseudo overflow from the way I've been using mine. It feels like a little bit like an overflow without having to run over ammo,
Okay,
which
yeah.
is nice. Um, and then for the PvP, what we're looking for, Jared?
We're gonna go flute to barrel just for the extra handling. I think handling in PvP is one of the most needed things. And then ricochet rounds, and then tunnel vision and cloak and kill clip. Kill clip. Once you get that kill, you're also procking tunnel vision at the same time. Get a crispy 3 tap to the head and throw out. So right now scouts are definitely not the meta in PvP, and right now this season they have anti-barrier, so they are getting some use of PvE. And Bungie's also talked about promising a PvE buff to scout rifles, so definitely looking forward to getting one of these and keeping it in the vault whenever we get that buff.
Oh yeah, definitely excited to see what they're gonna do. I mean, there's so many changes on the horizon for the guns, for all of them, and it makes me so mad that the fusion rifle didn't come back
Oh
on
yeah,
G.
yep.
Um, but it's I'm excited to see what they're gonna do. I know that they're have a really hard stance on scouts. They don't want them to be a like the main option for any hard PVE content. And I think Jared, you stated this before, but they kind of hit that with bows, where you can
Hmm.
get that major damage from a long ways away, and and scouts just don't feel as good at that range when a bow can. Um, so they do they do kind of play off of each other there, and make it so that you're not just sitting in a corner way in the distance plinking with a scout, because that damage fall off hits really hard after after a ways when a bow doesn't.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people remember how good Scout Rifles was in Destiny 1, and they're probably never going to be that good again. So it's kind of tough because, they bring back some of these Scout Rifles from D1, and people remember how they used to feel, and they fall flat. But we had a Grandmaster this week, Chad, and we was
Yes, we
missing
did.
one of our Conquerors to come with us. So we had to pick up one.
Wait,
We,
yeah,
we
no.
picked up we picked up our buddy Shifty and got into Warden of Nothing. And definitely a challenging Grandmaster that's been around a couple of times now. But unique thing here is that you have all three types of champions.
Yep, you have all three types of champions, and I think you have it's. I know there's Void,
Yeah.
but is it's not all three flavors of shields too, right?
No, I think it's just
I
Void Shields. I don't
think it's
recall
just Void.
seeing anything else.
Yeah, no. I mean, so yeah, we had to pick up Shifty. Shifty's our go to number two. Um, he's our Eyes of Tomorrow homeboy, running that raid for you forever, Shifty, and he's he's always all up in there and ready to go whenever one of us is out.
Yep.
And we picked him up Tuesday night, and I think so. I was running my Titan, but for this one, you don't have to be as careful with supers. You don't really need a well. You don't really need Ursas. There's not a huge amount of damage incoming quickly as long as you're careful. So you don't really need to hit that Ursa's banner and stuff like that. So we went with major one shot DPS supers in order to absolutely demolish that boss room, because that boss room is where runs end. They die in that room if you if you're not careful. So you want to do whatever you can to absolutely destroy that boss. And so we ran. I think it was a Titan and then two Warlocks, right?
Yeah. Two Chaos Reaches.
Yeah, and then I was running the Thunder Crash with the Falling Stars, but I was running my regular anti barrier night watch with a deafening whisper for the void shields here and there, and then Anarchy. And I was obviously running some suppression cells build in order to give us a little bit more breathing room. Since we didn't have any Freezy Boy turrets, and since we didn't have any wells, I wanted a little bit more insurance. So that definitely helped. And the Anarchy is always just hit one into an anti barrier and just sit there and everybody go to town on it. But this one's definitely a go slow. You can still, even if you're going slow, you can do it in less than 25 minutes. And once you get the rhythm of it,
Yeah.
it's that first area. There's only one champion, so it gives you kind of a feel of it. And then for the rest of them, they like spread out the champions really well until you hit that second to last room where they just drop
Yeah.
five of you in the same room. Just bam, there's five champions all of a sudden, and there's
Yeah.
all three types.
Yeah. That mind room is it's very tricky, and I say it got us once or twice. And there's a big thing about the order about what you do
Mhm.
whenever that comes up. And after you first take out those four champions that's fighting each other, then that little rocket launcher spawns, and then it's time for bomb A to defuse. And whenever bomb A comes out to defuse, you have a minute to defuse it. So the first thing you do, you don't jump directly on it. When you're looking at the bomb, and to the right is where an anti-barrier hobgoblin will spawn with some other little goblins, and that's enemy number one. take that out first. And down that same hallway, an unstoppable champion will spawn. So that's priority number 2. Take those 2 champs out first. Whenever that happened, that was me and Shifty basically doing that. And Chad was taking out the ads that was spawning to the left of A to watch our backs. So that's step 1. Step 2 is the Void Shield Minotaur that's on Bomb C. We did this a couple times, and we figured out that if you kill that before you go to jump on C, another one will spawn and just teleport on top of you and wipe you out very quickly. So you will get that to at least half or finishable, and then go defuse B, and then on your way to C, you take that Minotaur out as you're jumping on Bomb C, and there's an overload Minotaur that will spawn at that point also. You want to at least put a couple shots on it because it will despawn once you defuse that bomb. And by putting a couple shots on, you get to keep that platinum ranking, which is the most important thing with going through these Grandmasters.
Yeah, there's if you kill it too fast, also another one can spawn in. So those Minotaurs, they like to come back and wreak havoc on you, man.
Yeah, that is not a fun mechanic that they can do that. I don't know what Bungie was thinking. It's like, well, they're probably just sitting back. It's like, what can we do to make these people lose their minds? And that was it. For me, I was doing the overload hand cannon with Ariana's Valve and Hezen Vision's rocket launcher, because a lot of time those anti-barrier hobgoblins, they can close up and don't show the quit spot, so that anti-barrier Ariana's Valve really comes in handy to take those out. And then finally you get to that boss room, and with Breach and Clear and DPS supers, you plug it a couple of times with Anarchy, shoot the rocket, and dump your supers into it, and that's an easy win. And you get to that adept weapon, that Uzume RR4, Chad.
Oh yeah, that is the big sister of my favorite Amalon sniper. But do want to say that room right before the boss room is the toughest part of the fight, as long as you're doing DPS supers like we did. So definitely, if you have to wait for a super to come back right before the boss, do it. Just wait it out, because you can one shot the boss and just take your winnings and get out. Now I think I got 2 Irenes. Uzumes. Irene's the other one. Rip. I got one running it last night with some other homies, and then one running it with Jared and Shifty here. Now I didn't get my beloved fluted appended mag triple tap Vorpal PV one that I want. I got an explosive one though, and then thinking about it, it's like, well, you can make Warmind cells with that, and I was just like, wait. Jared's like, well, you can just use the Ecolo sniper. It's solar too.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. 100%. You're right. Either way, it's just you don't have to get explosive kills for the Warminds to proc. You can just kill things with it and be fine. But yeah, you're definitely looking for that fluted appended mag for that extra magazine size with that triple tap Vorpal. You want to be able to triple tap as much as possible to make that magazine feel as big as possible without having to reload. That's definitely the PvE trick on the snipers for sure.
Yeah, the sniper, and it's really important to get that mag size to 5 with triple tap. That's what makes you end up getting to the 7 shots. And then you can make a choice between slapping backup mag on or the adept big ones. So the difference is, if you slap backup mag on and you get that magazine up to 7, that means you can do 10 shots without reloading. But you're doing that 7. You're missing out on 7% damage, but you're also creating another shot. So you're just gonna make the choice. There's a good, just either way you could win and be very successful, and you're kind of splitting hairs at that point of what you prefer. Now, this sniper can also have a god roll for PvP, and that is fluted, accurized, snapshot, and Vorpal. And I got one perk away from getting this god roll. I got high impact reserves instead of Vorpal, but I'm definitely going to use that some in PvP, and you can slap on the adept handling mod to really push out the handling of this sniper, which is one of the most important things, being able to pull that out and quickly scope in. This is the weapon with the Nightfall weapon I was most excited for this season, so I'm going to try to get some more runs in this week to get some more rolls on this.
Yeah, it's definitely the Amalon snipers feel great. They feel really crispy, really smooth. Um, so that's like Jared said, the handling is definitely important. If you can't do a quick draw snapshot on a sniper, get that handling maxed out as much as possible so it can feel as close to that as it can. Now I've been kind of dabbling with some snipers in PvP. I've been mostly doing some Izanagi in Gambit and just getting my zooming in and just hitting people. Mostly chest shots, but a couple of quick scopes headshots here and there, feeling like a badass again.
Yeah.
Feeling getting my Halo 3 days back a little bit here and there.
Yeah, I was doing
And
some
it feels good.
override last night. I said you running some of that Gambit. Are you getting close to getting that Dredgen times 2
Uh,
done?
I'm 11 game wins away.
Oh
11
yeah.
wins.
Yep.
So close.
You can't get there fast enough, can you?
Yeah, I know.
All right. Chad, teach us a little bit about Mithrak's daughter.
Eido. Yeah, we talked not really about her. We just kind of mentioned her in passing, simply that because we talked about Shira Eido and a little bit here and there with Misraaks and his past with her, and who she is. She was in Awoken, the first right hand of the Queen, and a very very close confidant and dear friend of Misraaks. And so of course he finds his daughter after she was born by a catch, and names her Eido, in remembrance of his friend, his best friend, um, the first human awoken that actually shared a life with him, and didn't treat him like an enemy immediately. Um, Now, this season we were introduced to her. We were introduced to Misraaks in how they are with the splicers and everything. And the first glance at Eido we got was when we went to the Elixni quarter and heard a couple of those little recordings of hers. We found out that she is the scribe of House Slight. And a scribe is someone obviously that just takes notes of all things that happen to a house. Gathers the history of the house, of all its peoples and such, and that includes all of the past history of the Elixni as a race completely. But it's mostly categorized as the main scribe's duty is to is to take down all things that happen to the Kel and his people in that particular house. Um, and so we learned that there's such a thing as a scribe, and we learned that Eido was it. And then through listening to more of her little ramblings, she tells us that she is the daughter. So we find out that that's his kid. We find out more about the Elixni and who they are as a people. Finding out about how on their home planet ether was in abundance, and so everybody was the size of a Kel because that's their natural size is a Kel size, and all these things that are happening, the race war that happened with them, the reason that the docking happened to the dregs and stuff like that. It's all things that we didn't really think about very much because we categorized them as an enemy. And through Eido, the scribe of House Light, we humanized more with the Elixni. And we didn't really know much about Eido, other than the fact that she was named after Misraaks' friend. And so it was really great to have a couple of armor pieces this event, especially the hunter ones in particular. Um, there are some other good stories that I will get into, I think, next week. But this week we're talking about Eido's past and the reason she is the scribe for House Light. And it's one of those things where most parents want their children to follow in their footsteps. So seeing that Eido was a scribe, I initially thought that she was also a splicer, and that she was just doing both jobs. But in reading these stories, you learn a bit more. Um, so on the helmet, it puts us in the hunter helmet. It puts you into a dream of hers. She's creeping around on all six or four of her arms, her two legs, and she's following some kind of murmuring and muttering, and it's scary but compelling. And she's following, and she calls it 1,000 voices, all muttering to themselves. And she looks around the corner of a massive archway, and she sees a circular chamber with a huge sigil carved into the floor. And she sees three awoken figures standing at precise intervals around the seal. And suddenly she's in the middle, looking around, and she sees a void above her, spiraling galaxies seeming to fill the room, and she realizes that she isn't breathing. And suddenly she feels all of a sudden that she's falling in all directions. And she looks down and finds out that the floor is moving away from her. And she feels great fear. She's floating away from the ground, and then she wakes up screaming, and Misraaks comes up to her and says, "Be calm, be calm. You are Eido. You are in the one true now. You're safe." And he gives her some of his ether to try to calm her nerves, and he says, "Tell me your journey." And she explains what happened, and he nods and says, "Those are the Techeuns, advisors to our host. They are like scribes for the awoken." He sits, just contemplating what she talked about, and then he says, "I know you are frightened, but I'm confident this is a blessing. All great things appear first as monsters. There may be a day when you are seen as a monster, and your blessing is frightening to those who cannot understand it. When that time comes, remember this moment." And she nods, not really understanding fully, but she wondering, how could a hatchling be a monster? And he continues, "I too am sometimes afraid of the Techeuns, but we must look beyond our fear to find the light. This is courage. Can you show courage?" And she nods again. And he says, "You can, I'm sure of it. The light provides." And then she responds back, "The light provides," and goes back to sleep. And now we obviously go into the future more. That was her as a hatchling, but we go into a time when he's trying to teach her how to use the gauntlet, the Splicer gauntlet, the one that he's gifted us. And it's starting with her not really being able to grasp it. And she just looks at her father, and he uses it so seamlessly as if it's just an extension of his own self. And whenever she has it, it seems like it's something that's fighting her, something that's, got a mind of its own. And Misraaks looks at her with patience, but she can see that it's starting to break. And he says, "No, Eido, no. Splicing is not about thinking, it's about feeling. Feel the energy flow from the ground, through your legs, up your torso, and out your arm." His arms wove circular patterns in the air as if gently wafting smoke upwards. "The movement of the gauntlet is the continuation of a motion that begins deep in the heart of the planet, where it keeps its light." She sighs, and Misraaks is very intent on passing down the gauntlet of the splicer to his daughter. And days go by, 3 days go by, and there's just no sign of advancement, and they're both getting more and more frustrated. And she wants to learn. She wants to live up to her father's skills and take the helm of being the splicer from her father, but she just can't. And she feels like it's rejecting her. And she takes a couple of deep breaths and goes through her mind's eye into the ground, deep into the well of light at the center of the planet. She follows it through her body, and her gauntlet starts to stir to life. And Misraaks says, yes, just so. Now feel it extend into the gauntlet, from the gauntlet into that shank. Feel its code lying dormant. It is sleeping, waiting for you to wake it. She extends the gauntlet, and a surge of energy shoots forth, sending crackles of electricity rippling across the shank's surface. In her shock, she jerks the gauntlet away and severs the connection. The electricity sparks, and all of a sudden, the shank has smoke coming from it. Now, she didn't need Misraaks to tell her, but she knew that she fried it. And he takes a moment to compose himself because he doesn't want to yell at his daughter. We know that Misraaks is very forgiving and just all around a good person. And he looks at her and says, "This is a good lesson. When one focuses on the metal, the form of the machine, and not Misraaks Kel." She interrupts. "This is not. I don't want." And she sits there for a moment, gathering her emotions to control herself so she doesn't say anything rash. And she says, "I am not a splicer. I'm certain of it. I know this is a disappointment to you, but the gauntlet has spoken." And she pulls the gauntlet off her hand and holds it out to him. He takes it and says that he's very sorry that she can't follow him. It's a greater thing to know what you are and what you are not. Self-knowledge is the rarest skill of all, and not commonly found among one so young. And she's filled with relief and gratitude for her lesson. So we find out that she had to give up being a spicer because it just wasn't in her to do it. Now, whether that's just because of who she is, or if she just couldn't gather that kind of knowledge, everybody's good at their own thing, and she realized it. And she calmly tells her father this, and he accepts it. And it's great. So now we know why she isn't a splicer, and that she isn't actually one, for my knowledge, first of all. Now we go and move on to her and Misraaks looking upon a guardian wearing the full armor set, looking resplendent, armor gleaming with light, and he is in Europa. And they're looking around and just see a battlefield of dead Elixni covered in House Salvation gear, blood and ether seeping across the ice, freezing, and the Guardian just strolling casually, body to body, looking for ammo, a couple of guns, trying to see what he can find, what he can scavenge. And she watches through and looks through the battle through a viewfinder with Misraaks atop a ridgeline, and even at the distance, the brutality was hard to miss. And she glanced at Misraaks, and she's just thinking these were the guardians her father trusts. And as if he read her mind, she says, "The guardians are capable of mercy, though they seldom show it." And well, she says, "Then why does the great machine bless them? Is it not better to be merciful?" He responds, "The darkness is coming, nearer now than ever before. Perhaps mercilessness is exactly what the great machine needs." Then we move on, and it's Misraaks gives a warning to Eido that the Techeuns are not welcoming to outsiders. But she pushes forward, and he just in this story describes her as the scribe. And she says, "Even if they refuse, I will get access." That alone has a lifetime's worth of knowledge in their archives. And he says, "We don't have time to study this. We need to join the Elixni. They need guidance." And she says, "I will learn everything I can as quickly as I can." And she shows him a sign of respect, and he pauses, and then he says, "I recall a time when you were just a hatchling and the Techeuns visited you in the night. You woke up screaming." And she says, "I recall it well. To tell the truth, they still frighten me, but we must look beyond our fear to find the light." And he looks upon his daughter and sees just a brightness, an absolute, just a mixture of joy, optimism, and grim determination. And he thinks, and she finally found her path to the light. Something that he hoped would be a splicer, but glad that she found it herself. And he said, "I am proud to have such a brave scribe as my daughter." And she says, "Thank you. I am lucky to have such a wise Kel for my father." And then it goes on, and the first line of this next one is just, and all the houses respected their decisions. Yes, Barracks said. It was so agreed by all of Reese. And so it's Barracks talking about the House Judgment. He goes on to talk about how um, House Judgment wasn't the Supreme Court of the land, wasn't the major authority of the world. It was simply a respected group of scribes that used their knowledge of Elixni kind in order to make rational judgments and decisions for the people. They were not above anyone and they were not below anyone, and he made that very clear to her. She When she says, so it was the ruling house. Obviously, based off of the stories, it sounds like they're in charge. And Varric says, no, the House of Judgment was above and below all other houses. It was both the Kel and the Dreg. Its authority came from its humility. So she starts thinking that she'd only ever known scribes as political people, power brokers or go-betweens like Varix, but the very idea of scribes as a neutral party dedicated to peace and knowledge is something that excited her. And Varix continues, this is why the old scribes pursued knowledge relentlessly. They sought it from uncommon sources. Their knowledge was overwhelming and unyielding. So when a scribe of House Judgment decided, all Elixni respected it. They knew that nothing was left unconsidered. And she nods, and for the first time she imagined peace, not just from aspiration, but as a practice and a vocation. The idea blossomed within her. Now, this is all showing how she got so into being a scribe, and it's really exciting to see and hear more about House Judgment. We didn't have a lot about them. All we knew was that they were kind of a neutral house, and now we know that they were more like judges and juries at the same time. And it's cool to see her beginnings, to see that she couldn't live up to what her father did. She's not perfect. She's not the perfect character. She's flawed as well, but she found her calling, and it's great. It's seeing something that excites her in that way, and she wants to, based on this, she wants to become a true mediator of peace, and just be someone that upholds all of it with rationality and respect to all of her peoples, regardless of who they are. And I remember reading these armor pieces, and I it was cool to see that her beginning started with her making mistakes and deciding that and making that decision that she's not a spicer. It just gives her a lot of depth, and I'm hoping that more stuff comes out about her and that we actually get to meet her at some point. I'm hoping.
Yeah.
I just want to see her, man. Like, I just want to shake her claw and be like, hey, what's up?
So she went to the Dreaming City to learn from the Techians, then, right?
Yes. Yeah. She wanted to learn everything she could,
Yeah.
but it looked like this was before they created House Light. So he was still in kind of a hurry to save as many peoples as they could to create the house in the first place.
So as we was running around Europa in the Deepstone Crypt doing stuff, she was at the Dreaming City learning all she could. Then we helped House Light get out, and she came to Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Help out Misraaks. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So maybe we get to see more of her. We finally figure out that 15th wish. Maybe she has a part to play in that.
Ooh, let's hope so.
Yeah, that'd be cool. All right, let's get to the mailbag. Got a few questions here. If you could make 2 Destiny characters switch jobs, who would it be? That's from Tim.
I don't know. You got one? Because I was still thinking about it.
I do have one. And it's pretty on brand for me. It's Fenchurch and Drifter. I'll switch their positions.
Fenchurch and Drifter. Why?
Yeah, I don't want Drifter in the tower anymore. Just get him out.
Yeah,
Fenchurch
that's
is never
definitely on
there.
brand.
So
100%. That's
I
man.
think to me, I'm tired of him. So anything I can do while I don't have to interact with him would be the best.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Shoot, I can't even imagine that. I was thinking of who to switch Shax with because I want to hear him doing something.
Yep.
Like whether that's like him calling out stuff during patrols or him yelling at us when we're doing like gosh, what is it? Public events. It just I want him yelling out more stuff. Maybe him being the strike announcer instead. So
Yeah.
him and Zavala switch.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, I agree. That was that's the other one I thought about, but I had to get Drifter out of the tower. So
Yeah, you can't let Drifter and Shaq switch because then Drifter would have access to an Ahamkara skull. Be no good.
So what would Fox say? What would his answer be?
First of all, he'd say, "What are you talking about, the Drifter?
Yeah.
He's my best man."
Yeah. So he can't stand Zavala either, right?
Yeah, he doesn't like Zavala at all. So he'd want him out of the tower.
He probably switched Drifter and Zavala then. I bet he would.
Put Zavala in the dungeon down there.
Yeah.
He might, or he'd get him out of there completely and switch him and like Shahan, put him somewhere nobody goes.
Shahan. Oh my gosh. Oh man. All right, next question here. If you could pick a god roll to drop for you tomorrow, what would it be?
Oh man. There's so many guns that I want. I would want my Adept Plug or Glacier Chasm, but Glacier Chasm's not happening. And so I would want an Adept Plug to happen when Plug Week happens again. But I'd want two. I'd want one max range, and then I'd want one max stability so I can finally do damage testing.
Yep.
Regardless of what the devs said. And just, I'm more about the feel, man. Mm-hmm. Even if one is statistically better, I just want to see what feels better to me.
Yeah. For me, it's the Praetor's Revenge, the time lost version, and I want it to have. Let's see here. I got it built out on Gunsmith for me. I've been dreaming about it. Tac mag, rewind rounds, and high impact reserves.
Okay, and it comes with what was it? It comes with explosive.
It comes with Feed and Frenzy, Firefly. Yeah,
Firefly. Okay, yeah. So you want that quad god, huh?
Yep. Yep. If I'm picking one, that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, I haven't used Praetor in the Crucible yet. Have you gotten a good one that you've used in there yet?
Rapid fire frames are not what I use anymore in PvP. After the nerf to sniper zoom.
Yeah.
What it does is the diminishing returns that most rapid fires have low zoom. So that's why I haven't really played much with it.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, besides fusions, there's not really any other gun roll that I'd really, besides the ones that I want just for, just so I can have options, like all flavors of rockets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But let's see, this next question here. If Destiny 2 was brought offline starting tomorrow, what activity are you playing for one last time? And what game are you moving to? Man. That's a tough one. I think I don't want to say a Vault of Glass raid because I know a part of the squad doesn't really like it. So if we could get, and this would be a tough get, but if we could get a 9-man Altar of Sorrows going,
okay,
and just have some fun like we did with Escalation Protocol,
yep,
and that one that was going with Season of the, not the Worthy. Yeah, it was Worthy, right?
Arrivals?
No. The one with the Warmind, where we were all on the moon.
Yeah.
In order to get like that flawless run with 9 people. Yeah, it'd be so hectic getting a Discord of 9 people, just smashing Hive left and right for like 2 hours. It'd be fun, man. It'd be so much fun getting 9 clan people doing that.
Yep. All right, so for my last activity, it's actually going to be the Prophecy Dungeon. I don't know what it is about it, but like I've love that dungeon. I love the dialogue that you get between Eris and
Mm,
you know, Eris putting down the drifter. That's what I think is what makes it my favorite is just that how she has so much disdain for Drifter that I just side with Eris so much and love her lines going through that. So that's probably why it is for me. Now, what game am I moving on to? Oh, I'd be in a dark place. I'd be in a really dark place. Um,
I skipped that. I was waiting for you to go.
so naturally, I would be waiting for Halo Infinite to come out
Yeah.
this fall. So I would probably go back to the Master Chief Collection to
Hmm.
play through some of that content.
Yeah, we still got to beat Reach and Halo 2 and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, Halo Reach PvP was some of my favorite. Just SWAT in general, no matter which Halo it is great.
Yeah, I feel a little bit of a cop out going back to a Bungie game. So if it wasn't going back to a Bungie game, I'd probably go to like Elder Scrolls Online, play with my wife doing that,
Okay,
or something
okay.
like that, or something that's not even close to the first person shooter. Because I don't think I could go back to
Yeah,
maining a first person shooter that's not a Bungie game.
that's fair. I mean, like right now, I got a in between Destiny, I got like a practice Pokemon Pearl Nuzlocke going, so I can like get how it works down for myself, so that I can eventually stream it, and then get it going on the YouTubes too. But I want to get a run in, and
Hmm.
I love Pokemon. It's
Yeah,
always been one of those games that I go to in times of boredom, and it's fun. It's the randomness of it's great. It's all over the place. It's stressful. And then there's always Binding of Isaac. It's just one of
yeah.
those games where you can just play it over and over again because it's different every time, and that game kicks your butt constantly. So if you ever want to feel like you're a loser, that's the game to play.
And we all know that Fox's last day playing Destiny, he would go play some Gambit,
Oh
and
yeah.
then he'd go back to the Eververse store and spend the rest of his silver that he had stacked up in game.
Yep. He would make us go in there, and he would make us ornament up all of our reckoning gear and make us play our roles.
Yep, it's true. Hmm.
Oh man.
Well, I'm glad he's here not to defend himself, so we can just make up his answers for him. So I know that we're
They're
all
I
right.
mean they're all the correct answers.
Yeah, me and you would
Like that's what he
agree.
would say.
So, like, that's exactly what he would say.
Yeah, it's exactly what he would say.
So this has been a different episode, a fun one. A little bit shorter than usual. But I enjoyed it. Our time together, Chad.
Oh, it's always great having time with you, man.
But I'm definitely looking forward for Fox to coming back and taking over some of the duties that he normally does that got pushed on over to us that we definitely put off and didn't care much for the most part.
Shh, don't tell him that.
It's like, wait, when's mom and dad coming home? Oh, I got plenty of time to get those chores done. And then you hear him pull in the driveway. You're like, oh no.
Oh no. Oh man. All of a sudden you gotta vacuum the whole house in 10 seconds.
Well, thanks for listening, everyone. And Chad, any last regards for you?
Just get some GMs in if you want. DM us. We're happy to carry some people in. This is a really fun one this week. I think to me personally, because it's a little bit more difficult than the regular GM, but not super crazy like the chosen one. It's
Yeah.
hard enough that it's a good starter one, because if you can beat this one, you got a really solid group of people going for the rest of them.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of cheese in that boss room if you want to, not melt. So you can definitely look those things up and still have fun. Get the loot. That's what we're all there for. All right, thank you. Love you guys.